With just one more game left in the regular season, everything is on the line for the Kansas Jayhawks. With being eliminated from Big 12 title contention, this is our last chance to prove to the playoff committee why we belong. Senior day against the 2-9 BYU Cougars, arguably the worst team in the Big 12. If we win, we're going to the playoff. If we lose, we're probably out. I mean, we should be. Losing to BYU would be a pretty bad look. So our chances of winning the conference are toast after dropping our most previous game against Florida State. If we won this game, we would be going to the Big 12 championship, so it's unfortunate that we ended up dropping it. Luke Kromenhoek played really well down the stretch in the second half, and we just didn't make enough big plays. Clyde Poole in our two biggest games of the year was okay. He didn't lose us this game, but he didn't win it either, and that's always been the question with Clyde Poole. Can he elevate the team per se? And I don't think he did that in either the Colorado game. Granted, the offense as a whole was really good, and certainly not against Florida State, which we obviously ended up losing. We only fall to number 6, though, in the top 25 rankings. There was plenty of other chaos across the country, leading to more movement, which I think kind of worked out for us. We would not get a very favorable draw, though, if the season ended today. We would play against the defending champion Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and if we win, we have to play number 1 Alabama, who looks like head and shoulders the best team in the country right now. We've got to take care of business first against BYU, and then we'll talk about some of the conference races and some of the excitement surrounding the playoff across the country. As we look at BYU, they have not had a good season. Their only wins are against an FCS opponent by 1, and Oklahoma State may be the one team in the conference who's as bad as them by 3. I mean, there's no beating around the bush. These guys are not very good. Their quarterback from last year, Noah Lugo, threw for like 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions against us. He did the Jameis Winston special. But he ended up leaving in the transfer portal. They've got a very young group, very young quarterback with redshirt sophomore Siaki Va'aio. Overall, I think the team has some talent, but it's obvious that they have struggled this year. They also have former Kansas Jayhawk J.J. Addington, who was on our team last year, transferred to BYU, where he currently has 4 tackles, which I guess is 4 more than last year. It's also senior day. Exciting to honor some of the guys who have been around for a while. Takaias Brinkley, who's been injured the last couple of weeks, he's back. Obviously, him and Damani Maxson are probably the 2 biggest ones, given that they were freshmen back in year 1 when we made our run to the national championship game. But it's not just them. Guys like Samuel Mpemba, Mario Maddox, Taylor Davis, Marcus Calvin, Calvin Clements, and Jaden Ham. All the girls go ham for Jaden Ham. This could be it for other guys as well, like Seth Jennings and maybe Moen Wokeji, who could be looking to declare for the NFL draft, and it'll certainly be it for some combination of these quarterbacks. Whether Clyde Poole pulls a fast one on us and leaves, if he sticks around, I would imagine some combination of the youngsters, maybe at least one of Sean Pullard or Kerry Chosen, would probably enter the transfer portal. So let's get this show on the road, our final regular season home game, and I say regular season because, well, we're hoping to host a playoff game, but we'll see if that ends up happening. We've got to win this game first for that to happen. Max Hart to the right side, spins away from the defender. A big play for the Cougars, but it will not matter. The junior running back with a nice run that will be taken off the board with a holding call against Austin Lavoie, the junior center. Normally it's us getting called for the stupid penalties, so it's nice being on the other end of that. 3rd down and 16. Here is Siaki Va'aio. Under pressure as he throws on the screen. It's incomplete. Devin Murphy, who had 4 TFLs and a sack in the loss against Florida State, they're leading the pressure as we take a look at the Kansas offense. Let's see if these guys can lead the Jayhawks to the playoffs for a 2nd consecutive season. We've got to win this game, and I think we'll be good. Clyde Poole here on 2nd down looks to throw it. Clean pocket. Looking deep. Wants it all! He's got Maddox! Into the end zone for a touchdown. Welcome back, Mario Maddox. The senior who's missed the entire season played in his first game of the year last week and looked pretty good despite the loss with 5 catches for 70 yards. Here he takes that one 55 to the crib. A smart audible by Clyde Poole. If the free safety was going to take a step in, he knew that Maddox was going to be open up the seam, and that's exactly what happens. We knew that Maddox is faster than all of their other defensive backs, and they're not going to be able to catch him. So if Clyde can put the ball on the money, that's going to be 6. And sure enough, that's how it plays out. Cougs back with it, play action. Vaio is sacked by Decayas Brinkley. It's good to have him back. He's been one of the most impactful defensive players, not just in the Big 12, but the country as a whole, and we have severely missed him. Since he got injured, the pass rush really has not been the same. So a big sack there by the senior Brinkley in his final regular season game as a Jayhawk. 3rd and 17, that one's out! And it's picked up by the big man! On the return, he gets around 10, but Kansas gets the stop. Seth Jennings with the strip sack, and that'll force a punt. Could be Jennings' last regular season game as a Jayhawk, with the potential of him declaring for the NFL draft. Kansas back with it. Good start defensively. Here is Cornell Teamer with it to the outside. Whoop! Splits the defense. Big run for Teamer. Still on his feet, and he gets it past the 25. But of course, we have a flag. How on brand. Holding call against the left tackle, Reggie Chanel. And that will push Kansas back. 3rd down and 6. Teamer again, the back in the backfield. Poole looking short. Mario Maddox with the first down. Kansas rocking the all reds today as the offense is looking good. It's been a very strong start for the Jayhawks through the first 6+ minutes. Here's the freshman Nicholas Scotland-Williamson with a big run to the outside. He gets it into the red zone at around the 19-yard line. An impressive run by the native of Miami, Florida. So Kansas now has it in the red zone, looking to add to the lead. 2nd and 2. Ty Lord with it. He is stuffed, and he is hurt on the play. I guess he's well enough to celebrate the first down, but that's certainly not good news. Obviously, one of our key offensive players. We'll check back on him in just a little bit. 2nd and goal. Poole keeps it, gets a block from Law, but loses yardage. As for Ty Lord, it's a dislocated ankle. That is not good. So he's going to be out for the game, obviously, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's it for his season. An unfortunate loss. Obviously, he's one of the key cogs of this offense. 3rd and goal. Short pass is caught by Maddox. It's going to center the kick at the very least, and I don't think it's much of a decision here. We want to make it a 2-score game. Anthony Escalante, of course, has not missed all year. His perfect track record continues as it's 10-0 in favor of the Jayhawks, but not without casualty with the loss of Ty Lord, one of our most important offensive skill position players. That'll wrap up the first quarter. I'm happy to see that the team has not taken this game lightly. Don't look ahead to the playoff. Focus on your current opponent. We've done exactly that. BYU is 10 yards of offense, averaging 1 per play. But I'm a little bit concerned about the loss of Lord. Obviously, we have other capable backs. Cornell Teamer's really good. We're probably going to see more Jazeer Tolbert, who played very well a week ago, as Hart loses yardage on 3rd down. The senior, Damani Maxson, in his final regular season game as a Jayhawk, and maybe his final game in this building. Hopefully not, given that would mean we lost. Poole running around on 2nd and 7. Look at him go! Clyde Poole cuts upfield, gets the first down, and takes a shot at around the 50. The magician pulls another rabbit out of his hat. 2nd and 10 now. Cornell Teamer with it. He finds room to the right side. Teamer down the field into the red zone. Stiff arms the defender to the 15. A huge run of 34 yards for Cornell Teamer. And with Ty Lord's injury, Teamer will be the full-time #1 back for our potential playoff run if we win this game. I'm certainly confident in his ability to do so. He loses yardage there, however. Will Bartow brings him down, and it's now a 3rd and 12. Teamer and Poole in the backfield. Poole looks to throw it under pressure, and he is sacked on the play. Good job there by the defense. It's David Easton who brings him down, and Kansas is going to have to settle for another field goal try. 42-yarder for Escalante. It squeaks through. That was a close one. And so Kansas now leads 13-0. We've had 2 trips to the red zone, though, and have failed to reach the end zone either time. That's certainly not enough. BYU back with it. 3rd and 3. They finally get the first down and a big hit. But Khalil Caver, who played really well when these teams played against each other last year, gets a solid gain. Here's Hart, gets by Jennings, has a first down, and is wrapped up past the 25 by Nwokeji. The BYU offense finally starting to get something going as they get near the red zone. And you know, a touchdown would make it a 1-score game. On 1st down, fakes the jet sweep. Vaio wants it all. He's got it! Brandon Hines lost his footing. I don't know if he got tripped up because of the rain or what, but the redshirt freshman Tyrone Loper is in for a score. BYU only down by 6. They do not want to make this game easy on Kansas as the Jayhawks get it back. Poole rolls out to the right, looks to run with it, keeps it himself. Poole the first down, nearing midfield. Without Ty Lord, Poole is probably going to be called upon even more as a runner, and there was a good one, making it a 3rd and 2. Teamer on the RPO, jukes away from the defender. Teamer down the field, another big one as the sophomore is pushed out at the 14. 5 carries, 69 yards. Nice for Cornell Teamer as Kansas has it back in the red zone. Will 3rd time be the charm? The big fella, Jazir Tolbert, with space to the left side. He says, "Get off me!" Big Jaw is in for a score, and Kansas adds to their lead. They're back up by 13. It feels like Jazir Tolbert is playing a bigger and bigger role in this offense as we've gone along through the season. I feel like especially in the second half of games, he's someone who can just run through the defense and tire them out. Had some big runs against Florida State, obviously had the game winner in overtime against Colorado. And with Ty Lord injured, he is the number 2 running back now behind Cornell Teamer. He's going to be one of the most valuable players on our offense the rest of the year. BYU has it back. Here is Va'aio under pressure. Up the middle of the field, a risky throw. But he connects. It's Tyrone Loper with the first down. 1:44 to go in the first half. Brinkley and Jennings bring down Va'aio for a loss. A big play by Kansas's 2-star pass rushers. Jayhawks get it back. 2nd and 8. Poole on the run. Hit as he throws. Incomplete. We've got a flag. Some contact there, and I think they're going to call it defensive pass interference. Just as foul baiting, I think, is an important skill in the NBA, it's also important as a wide receiver. I know it's not pretty. I know people don't like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander for it, but that was a good play by Amani Law. Poole flips it on first down for Lamore. Nobody was open deep. Sometimes you just got to go short. Nifty play by Poole to his junior tight end. 2nd and 10. Here's Teamer with it. That was not the play. Carl Kocher brings him down, and it is now a 3rd and 12 as Kansas calls a timeout. With 46 to go in the first half, Poole rolls to the right, under pressure, on the run. He's got Law. A nice play there to the 20 by Amani Law as Kenyon Denbo is a little bit shaken up there on the play. 2nd and 11 with 30 to go. Here's Poole, steps up, looks to run with it. Poole with a nice cut, and he brings it for a gain of 15. Kansas to the 6. They're going no huddle, trying to hold on to that last timeout. 1st and goal. Poole under pressure. He knows he has to get rid of it. He's going to try to outrun the defenders. Look at Poole. Nobody's in front of him, and he's in. What a run by Clyde Poole. Kansas adds to the lead. Strike that pose, young man. Only Clyde Poole can make that play. He was backed up at like the 20-yard line with 2 guys chasing him. Normally, if it's anybody else, you got to throw that ball away. But Clyde Poole is a different animal. 27-7, Kansas up comfortably at the break. We just cannot blow it, and we are going back to the playoff up by 20 points. Imagine if we did lose this game, though. I mean, it cannot end like this, can it? Overall, though, really strong performance. I like what we've gotten out of the offense, even with the injury to Ty Lord. Teamer's been good. Tolbert with the big run. Poole's been very effective as a scrambler, and he's had some good throws. None better than this one, though. The early touchdown by Super Mario. Defensively, the pass rush has been good. 1.5 seconds for both Jennings and Brinkley. BYU does have 1 touchdown, but otherwise, they've been fairly quiet on offense. And to make matters even better, we start with the ball in the second half. Here is Poole, floats it up, and it is intercepted. The first play of the second half is a turnover. It's Theron Alexander, breaks a tackle nearing the 30. Huge play there for BYU. I'm pretty sure he had an interception against us last year. What we were trying to do there is we were trying to have Rajon Jones fade back and make the contested catch, but it was a hard play to make. He couldn't position himself, and Alexander makes a nice play on the ball. BYU needed that to start the quarter. Here is Hart on the RPO. There was 3 guys in the backfield. I don't know how he gained positive yardage, let alone like 9.5. We should have brought him down for a loss. Play action. Va'aio under pressure. Sends it into traffic. And a nice play there by Loper for the first down. Here is Hart again, bounces off the blocker, breaks the tackle from Jennings. Not a good start to the third quarter for Kansas. They turn it over on offense. The defense, especially the run defense, not looking good early. First and goal. Vaio goes short and it is caught. Bentley Redden is in for a touchdown. BYU making it a little bit closer. Siaki Vaio has been very efficient. He's only thrown one incompletion all day. Granted, I think he's only thrown it 5 yards past the line of scrimmage like twice, but he is not missing throws. Second down, Poole with a nice run to the right side past the 45. An impressive scramble there by Clyde Poole, who is just the second active player right now in college football to hit the 3,000 rushing yards mark, and he has another year of eligibility. He very well can make it up to 4,000, maybe even chase Devin Neal's all-time school record as Mario Maddox hangs on up the middle. Nice throw there by Clyde Poole for the first down. Third and 4, Jazir Tolbert with it. Tries to fight for yardage. He cannot. Big play there by the defense. 4th and 2. You already know what we're going to do. We will go for it. 4th and 2. Teamer with it. Gets a block. Gets the first. And Cornell Teamer brings it to the 10. Nearing the goal line. 3rd and goal for the Jayhawks. Poole tries to sneak it in. He cannot. But that was all part of the ploy. I figured 3rd and goal at the 2. We can sneak it. And if we don't get it here on 4th and goal, we can sneak it again. Clyde Poole is in. His second rushing touchdown of the game. A huge conversion on 4th down for Kansas. They will now look to go for 2. Try to make it a clean 21-point lead with 3:35 to go in the third. Poole calls for a switch here at the line. Poole will look to throw it. Tries to go short for Maddox, but it's incomplete. I thought there was some space there towards that part of the end zone. We had Maddox running vertical. Good play, though, defensively to hit the ball away. BYU has it back. 3rd and 1. Read option. Vaio does not get it. It's Taylor Davis, the senior, who makes the play. And Kansas gets it back, looking to basically ice the game. Up by 19. 3rd down. Poole tries to step up in the pocket, but he is sacked on the play by Bruce Barr. BYU has it back, nearing the end of the third. Possibly the final play of the quarter. 3rd and 5. Short throw is caught, but they will lose yardage. It's Mo Nwokeji saying he's too short. BYU says they're going to punt it. Will they actually? I don't know. Now that we're in the 4th, the Jayhawks find themselves up 33-19, 1 quarter away from essentially locking ourselves into a playoff spot. Can we hang on? It'll be a 4th down and around 6 for BYU. They will change their mind. They are going to go for it. I mean, there's no reason not to. You're down by 19. Vaio looking on the curl route. What a hit! Quantavius Landers delivers the boom! And we're going to start to bring the backups in. We feel comfortable up by 3 scores. And I figure this is the last chance we're going to get to see some of these young guys this year. A last chance for guys like maybe Kerry Chosen or Sean Pullard before one or both of them enter the portal. So this could be a very important quarter for the long-term future of the quarterback position. It is Chosen who's in right now. 3rd and 6. He will dump it off, and it's dropped. Jaden Ham, you got to come down with that one. Of the quarterbacks not named Clyde Poole on the roster, Chosen, I think, by far has been the best in-game. As on 4th down, we will look to go for it. Chosen tries to thread it for Maddox, and it's intercepted. Theron Alexander has picked off both quarterbacks in this game. Mario Maddox, the intended target. I wanted to give him a few extra reps, being that he's only played 2 games this year. I don't think you can really fault Kerry Chosen for that play. 4th down, he's got to make a play. As Vaio is sacked there by the true freshman, Dylan Countess, the big fella. And it's now 3rd and 13. Vaio under more pressure. That one is incomplete. Good coverage there, good rush, and BYU again has no reason not to go for it. Here on 4th down. With the backup defense in the game, Vaio looks to throw it. Kansas rushes 5. On the run, it is caught! Big hit late, though, by Eric McGoulahan, the freshman. His first in-game action. That's a nice tackle, but a nice catch for the first down by Bentley Redden, the tight end. Following play, Vaio up the middle. That one is caught. Redden again. The linebacker, Soma Satele, was a step behind him. Satele's a guy I'm really excited about for the future. Might get some real playing time for this team next year. As that one is hauled in to around the 15-yard line. Guilherme Manupuna with the tackle. BYU has a chance to bring you within 12. Was it too early to bring the twos in? Here's a nice tackle, though. That's the true freshman, Bo Muse, who brings down the running back, Alex Rosales. Third down now for the Cougars. They will go to Max Hart to the right side, and he is wrapped up by Eric McGoulahan in his first drive. He's been kind of good. He's made some nice tackles. Fourth down, BYU again. No reason not to go for it here with 4:22 left in the game. Va'aio looking to call a switch. Hart lines up in the backfield. He looks to throw it. Under pressure, and he is sacked again! Dylan Countess, you can count on me! 2 sacks for the true freshman as we bring in Sean Pollard at quarterback, the redshirt freshman. And just as I said with Chosen, this could be his last chance as a Kansas Jayhawk. Maybe he looks to enter the portal. I mean, these guys are going to be entering their third year of eligibility next year. They're looking to play. They're certainly good enough, of course, being high recruits. Pollard's looking good, though. A couple nice throws. He got Jaden Ham earlier. That time it was Dorian Pepper. Following play, here is Pollard with it. Backs up in the pocket, has room to run, and he will take advantage. Pollard inside the 10, slides at the 6. He's certainly not the scrambler that Clyde Poole is, but both him and Kerry Chosen can move. Second and goal, Pollard, end zone, touchdown! Rasheem Diggs is in for the score, and Kansas puts an exclamation mark on this game. They lead it 40-14. Diggs has been a really solid role player for us, and it feels like, especially when we get the younger guys and he really stands out. I don't know what his role is going to look like next year with Elijah Parrish and Hakeem Ficken joining the folded wide receiver, but he's a good player. There's Afa G, the true freshman, with the sack. These young defensive linemen are making some plays. I am so excited about the future of this D-line, even with Brinkley and Seth Jennings probably gone at the end of the year. Here's a big play, though. On 3rd and 12, Khalil Caver with 7 seconds left takes it 73 yards to the house. Bad coverage by Cornell Abreu, the true freshman. It's been a rough day for that family. Of course, his stepbrother, Ty Lord, hurts his ankle, and now Cornell Abreu gets made look like a fool. Won't matter, though, as Clyde Poole is on for the kneel down, and that will do it. The Kansas Jayhawks finish the regular season with a record of 10-2. And it looks like Kansas is headed back to the college football playoff for the 3rd time in this series. And chances are it will be a home playoff game in the first round. We can't get a first round bye since we won't win our conference. But since we're already ranked as a top 8 seed, I can't imagine we're going to move down. So who knows who we're going to play against. But I'm very confident it will be here, which is really exciting. Our first home playoff game of the series. How cool will that be? I have a feeling this place is going to be rocking for that matchup. I'm happy that we took this game really seriously, though. You play the teams that are on your schedule. We knew we had to win it, and we were really in control the entire way. I don't think the score really does it justice. We had a pretty comfortable lead from the start, and we did not look back. Strong game, in my opinion, from Clyde Poole. He was effective as a runner. He was good as a passer. Sean Pollard, I was impressed with him in his one drive, and then Kerry Chosen finishes with a passer rating of 6,500, which is weird because one of his 3 throws was a pick. Granted, I don't think it was that bad of a play, but still. Poole led the way in terms of carries. Teamer with a big game on the ground. We're going to need a lot out of him. We're going to need a lot out of Tolbert going forward. Teamer really didn't see much action in the second half, being that we were up. And with the injury to Lord, I didn't want him getting hurt too. 7 for 105 and a touchdown for Maddox. He's been awesome since coming back, and his return really has changed things for this offense. We have 2 legitimate threats at wide receiver with him and Amani Law. Defensively, strong showing, especially at the line of scrimmage. Jennings and Brinkley were good, and shout out Dylan Countess with 2 sacks. Escalante, meanwhile, finishes the regular season perfect. He went 6 for 6 today. As for BYU, I thought Siaki Va'aio was pretty good. He played what the defense gave him and was overall pretty solid. Max Hart with a decent game as well. Caver obviously had the big play late. I don't know if he deserves that much credit for that play. It was a really bad rep by Cornell Abreu, a player who I'm super excited about, but that was a bad moment. 2 interceptions for Theron Alexander, 15 tackles for Chad Kocher. Those 2 guys were really the only bright spots for BYU in this one. So before we talk about Week 13, let's talk about recruiting. We're going to go through multiple weeks of recruiting here as wide receiver Emmett Hall is the newest Kansas Jayhawk. Hull certainly is an interesting story. Obviously competing in the state of Wisconsin. He started his career at Arrowhead High School, but he felt like he was in the shadows of another talented in-state receiver, Elijah Parrish, so he decided to transfer to Cass Technical High School in Detroit, Michigan. It's a little bit odd, though, that he's decided to commit to the same school that Elijah Parrish is. Weird when you look at it that way. It was a tight race for his recruitment with us in Wisconsin, but the Badgers just pulled their scholarship last week, which has me a little bit concerned. I don't know why they did that, but for now I'm excited about the addition of Hull. And then we also land tight end Edward Babers. This is a big one. Second highest ranked commit of this cycle for us from Elk River High School in Minnesota. One of the best tight ends in the nation. Top 40 player nationally, and he's a gem. When Iowa goes after a tight end, you know that he's probably going to be pretty good, as Iowa ended up finishing second, but we do end up landing him. We did lose out on offensive tackle Tyler Walter, who is going to Oklahoma. I didn't think we were going to land him. I'm pretty sure we took our points off of him after last week anyway, but now it is official that we will not be getting him. A number of guys narrowing their list down to 3. We're in first place for Jamison Michaels, who just visited the campus, I think this week against BYU. Gideon Enabuife, we would have had the lead for had we beaten Florida State, but the visit didn't go as well, which is disappointing because now I don't think we're going to get him. We do have some other really good receivers this cycle, including Hull, so I think we'll be okay. I think Eason's a lost cause. I think Nick LeBeau is a lost cause, but we do have the lead on Elliott McGowan. Could have been a bigger lead if, we beat Florida State, but can't win them all. Only 8 players in this cycle. We've really focused on quality over quantity this year, and in terms of the guys who have narrowed their list down, as I said, some of these guys I think we're just out of the race for. Others we still have a chance. Tyler Walter actually did not commit to Oklahoma. I think what had happened is that I had to record simulating into this week in a separate save file, so I guess the result with Tyler Walter changed very slightly. That's because for those of you who didn't watch the channel update yesterday, as I mentioned, I recently bought a new PlayStation. I just transported the data from my one console to the other, so that's why I had to re-record that. We're not going to get Tyler Walter anyway. It's not really that big of a deal, but it is worth noting. For some of these other close races, I'm going to keep putting these points into Enabuife. I know it's kind of not looking good now with Duke holding the lead, but we might as well try. We're going to use some of our leftover points on scouting some of these kickers. We'll start with Dominic Bridges, and he looks quite good. A gem, 88 kick power. I like what I see. The accuracy is a little bit low, but he doesn't have to play next year because we'll have another season of Escalante. Connor Fowler is also a gem. He's more accurate than Bridges. Isn't quite as powerful. I would prefer the kick power. I think we can improve accuracy a little bit easier, but I like that they're both gems. We're going to scout the other kicker, Lilly, I think next week, and this is how we're going to use the rest of our points for week 13. As I said, we're going to go through multiple weeks, though. We're going to cover week 14 as well, since we have a bye week along with just about everyone. We've got some close races, as I mentioned. Running back Jamison Michaels, wide receiver Gideon Enabuife, and tight end Elliott McGowan. So we do land Jamison Michaels. It's been very competitive with us in Syracuse. I'm happy that we do end up landing him. A talented running back from Fort Myers, Florida. We've got a thing for South Florida running backs. Last year it was Nicholas Scotland-Williamson. The year before it was Cornell Teamer. I didn't think we were going to get Michaels for a while, but the visit went well. We do end up landing him. We lose out on a lot of other guys, though, which isn't really a surprise. We do lose out on Enabuife. He is going to Duke. I saw that one coming, but it is disappointing. We do already have multiple good receivers this cycle, though. Elijah Parrish, Hakeem Thicken, Emmett Hull, but Enabuife is going to be really good. Tyler Easton to Auburn, Tim Soto to Ohio State, Tyler Walter to Oklahoma for real this time, and then Nick LeBeau to Mississippi State. Hayden Cornelius has locked us out. I think we're fine because we scouted some of the other kickers. Troy Fields, I think we're going to get, and then Alex Soriano, his battle is now starting to heat up. So we go 1 for 6 there. Call me Aaron Judge in October. I'm not too disappointed, though. I didn't expect to get most of those guys. I was hoping for the best with Tim Soto, though, but Ohio State went hard after him very late in the process. Let's look at the other kicker here, Max Lilly. 89 kick power, 74 accuracy. I would argue he's better right away than both Bridges and Fowler. Now, he's not a gem, but all three of those guys look really good. I decided to offer defensive tackle Prince Higgins a scholarship because I hadn't done that yet. And then in terms of our other races, West Virginia has taken the lead for McGowan. That is unfortunate. We're already putting the max amount of points into him, so I don't love our chances. We are actually going to add one more player to the board. We have a few open slots. We're going to add wide receiver Stephen Helfett from Cedar Hill, Texas. TCU recently offered him a scholarship. I like the skill set. I think there's some upside with this young man. And with losing out on Gideon Inabuife, obviously he's not as good. But I don't think he's a bad consolation prize. So this is how we're going to use our points here for Week 14. The tight end, McGowan, is obviously the big race here. I don't really like our chances, hoping for the best. Since we already landed Edward Babers today, it's not a big deal that we're losing out on him. Babers is better. I do think McGowan is the better fit, though, for our scheme. And this is how we're going to end up using the rest of our points. So let's simulate through Week 14 now into Conference Championship Week. McGowan is going to West Virginia, as I kind of expected. And then offensive guard Devontae Blunt is down to 3. We are not in that group. We weren't even in the top 4. We ended up in 5th. BJ MacArthur is down to 3. I don't love our chances there. I think West Virginia is probably going to get him too. Tony Dawson's down to 3. I think we're good. Soriano's down to 5. That's a quickly moving race. As we now take a look at Week 13, we're going to go back in time a couple of weeks. This is the final regular season game for everybody outside of Army and Navy. So the final chances for teams to clinch a spot in their conference title games, and the final chances for other teams to potentially show why they deserve to make the playoff. Look at Oklahoma and LSU, for instance. Both of those teams probably are not going to go to the SEC title game. The winner gets a big resume win. The loser is out of playoff contention. So let's go through these conference races, look at what to expect. In the Big 12, we know we're out of the race because Florida State is the tiebreaker over us, and TCU is the tiebreaker over them. So FSU has done their conference schedule. They play Florida this week. The only team that it really comes down to is actually Arizona. If Arizona wins, they will play TCU in the conference title game. If they lose, it'll be Florida State who plays against the Frogs. We, meanwhile, get to sit back, relax, put our feet up on the couch, and watch the chaos unfold. Virginia Tech will go to the ACC title game, and there's a whole cluster of everybody else. I was able to figure it out with tiebreakers, though, and it's actually pretty simple. It's going to be the winner of the Syracuse-West Virginia game. They will play against Virginia Tech. In the Big 10, Iowa, Oregon, USC all have 2 losses. A number of teams here with 3. Notre Dame is probably in the playoff with a win. Ohio State and Maryland currently on the bubble. In the SEC, it'll be Alabama against somebody. If Mississippi State wins the Egg Bowl, it'll be them. So this is the last chance for probably everybody else. LSU and Oklahoma play each other. Florida plays against Florida State. This is probably the final opportunity for both Florida and Florida State. A rivalry game will decide a playoff spot. I think the winner is in and the loser is out. As for the Group of 5 conferences, USF and UAB probably will be the American Championship game. I think there's a world where the ACC is a 0-bid league. Virginia Tech would probably have to lose out, but that could open the door for 2 Group of 5 teams. Louisiana Tech leads the Conference USA. I don't think they will get a playoff team. If anybody makes it in the MAC, I think it would be Buffalo. They beat West Virginia, so say West Virginia and Buffalo win their conferences. The Bulls would have that in their favor. Nevada right now is the highest ranked Group of 5 team. They would have the edge. I would definitely watch out for Oregon State. The Beavers have won 8 in a row and are undefeated in the Pac-12. And then in the Sun Belt, second in command of Nevada is currently South Alabama. They will probably play against Marshall, maybe Troy or App State. Sun Belt's been really competitive this year. So we'll start with the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss against number 2 Mississippi State. This game ended up being a lot closer than expected. Credit to Ole Miss. But the Bulldogs would hold on to win. They will keep their number 2 ranking as they finish the regular season with a record of 10-2, and they will officially play against Alabama in the SEC title game. So the winner of that matchup will be the number 1 seed going into the college football playoff. A lot at stake there. I think this game also locks Mississippi State in the playoff for good. With a loss being 9-3, things would have gotten a little bit clustered. With this win, though, they cement themselves as a playoff team, and that means this is 100% the last chance for teams like North Carolina. Oklahoma obviously playing against LSU, both of them. Florida against Florida State. This is it for the Gators as well. Iowa taking on Nebraska. The Hawkeyes really have been one of the biggest surprises to me this year. What was not surprising was how much of the beatdown they put on the Cornhuskers. Iowa finishes the regular season 10-2. They will go to the conference title game where they will face off against Oregon. USC actually ended up losing to UCLA. The Trojans are still going to make the playoff, I think, so they will be fine. But it'll be Iowa and Oregon in the Big Ten title game. The winner will probably get the 2 or 3 seed in the playoff. The loser most likely, I would think, gets in anyway, but not as cut and dry. Marco Lanise with a solid game for Iowa. J.J. Cole, the former Iowa State Cyclone, was pretty mediocre here for Nebraska. Colorado, we haven't really talked about them, but they are right on the bubble. They're ranked number 12. I think with a win, they can creep into an at-large spot and push themselves into the playoff. Well, unfortunately for them, it's not going to happen. Cincinnati with the upset, and this is good for everybody below Colorado. Think LSU, Oklahoma, Florida and Florida State, Ohio State, Maryland, teams like that who need chaos around the bubble. This is exactly what they could have asked for. Great game from Colby Hyman playing spoiler. Personally, I'm a little disappointed that Colorado lost. It would have been nice to have more teams from the Big 12 making the playoff. I think there's a world where our conference would have ended with 3 or 4 playoff teams. Now it's a little less likely, which kind of sucks. West Virginia versus Syracuse. The winner facing off against Virginia Tech in the ACC title game. And in a surprise, the Mountaineers would upset Syracuse. West Virginia, who's lost their last 3 games prior to this one, will compete to win the ACC. And that makes things really interesting. We'll start with Syracuse. They started the year, I think, 7-0, maybe 8-0. A fall from grace from the Orange, who will not go to the playoff after all that. As for West Virginia, they will go to the ACC title game. And as I said earlier, there is a world where the ACC is a 0-bid league. Virginia Tech lost this week to Miami. Doesn't change anything through the ACC title game. But let's say West Virginia beats Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is probably out. I don't think they would make it as an at-large team. And I don't think West Virginia would get in either. I think 2 of the higher-ranked group of 5 teams would still make it in ahead of the Mountaineers. So if West Virginia beats Virginia Tech in the ACC title game, I don't think the ACC is going to have anyone in the college football playoff. That would be a really bad look for the ACC, but it would also be hilarious. So I'm hoping it happens. Here's one of our biggest games of the week. Number 14 Oklahoma versus number 13 LSU. The winner of this game gets a late season resume win and probably catapults themselves into the top 12. Well, ultimately, it's LSU who would end up taking care of business here with a strong defensive performance, winning it 21-12 with this touchdown by running back Caden Durham, a player I'm really excited about as an NFL prospect. LSU has used him primarily as a slot receiver, but he's also a running back, and I think he's going to be very fun to watch in the playoff. He ran for 3 touchdowns in this game, granted only 22 yards, but he had 60 through the air. Jake Wakefield with 3 interceptions for Oklahoma, who I think is unranked. Quite the fall in the polls for Oklahoma. Maryland is hanging on for dear life. They looked like a playoff lock 2 weeks ago, but they've dropped a couple games in a row. If they want any chance of making it in, they've got to win and win big. Well, they ended up doing their part. They blow out Indiana. I still think it's too little too late, but maybe with some craziness in conference championship weekend, you never know. They do climb up to number 13, which I think would probably put them as the 2nd team out, maybe the 1st team out right now. So it's more possible than I kind of thought. Maryland's going to need some help. Julio Jones just retired yesterday, and why is that relevant? Well, Notre Dame led this game against Stanford 28-3, a game where if Notre Dame wins, they're in the playoff. If they lose, they're out. Well, Stanford would storm back in the 4th quarter, bringing the lead within 1. 28-27 with 3 seconds to go with this late touchdown by wide receiver Ramon Byard. Stanford, testing their luck, decided to go for 2 to win the game in the hands of the quarterback Elijah Brown. Is he in? It is really close. And as we look at this replay, yes, he is! Stanford comes back down 28-3 to knock off the defending champion Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who will not be going to the playoff. Oh my goodness, Notre Dame was in. They were up by 25, and they blew it. Notre Dame led 28-3 going into the 4th quarter, and the defending champions lose this game and are out of playoff contention. I do not believe it. Wow. So with a team like Notre Dame losing, this opens up the door for other teams on the bubble. I mentioned Maryland earlier. Another one is Ohio State, who's currently ranked number 15. The Buckeyes took care of business in Happy Valley, beating Penn State. And the Buckeyes are now ranked in the top 12 with no more games to play. Ohio State is number 11. I think this would put them as probably the last team in. So it looks like Ohio State's probably going to the playoff with 3 touchdowns from sophomore running back Alonzo Patton and a pretty strong game from quarterback Julian Sayin. This is a weird game for TCU because they are in the Big 12 title game regardless, but they still have to win because if they lose this game and lose the Big 12 championship, they will not make the playoff. So they've got to kind of ensure that they would get an at-large spot if they lose the title game. Ended up going into double overtime, but the quarterback, Hoss Haney, would win it for TCU 55-52 in typical Big 12 fashion. So TCU finishes the regular season 11-1, and even if they lose the conference title game against either Florida State or Arizona, looks like they will still make the playoff anyway. Not a great look, though, barely beating Oklahoma State with Zane Flores throwing 6 touchdowns, Jaron Law catching 4. I mean, this is the same team who lost to BYU, for Christ's sakes. But still, TCU 11-1, I think they are a lock to make the playoff, and I think they deserve it. I'm excited to see them in the conference title game against possibly Florida State, who's playing against Florida. So basically here, I think the winner of this game is in the playoff and the loser is not. There is so much at stake here. Both of these teams went into their final stretches of the season with really tough matchups. Florida State just beat Kansas. Florida just lost to Alabama. I expected this game to be really close, but it was not. Florida State went into the swamp and dominated the Gators 28-7. Kind of deja vu from last year, where Florida needed to beat Florida State to ensure they would make the playoff. Florida ended up losing that game, and they snuck into the playoff with the skin of their teeth. Not so lucky this year. The Gators fall out of the poll entirely from number 11. Florida was ranked number 2 weeks ago. They lose to Alabama, they lose to FSU, and they're out of the ranking entirely. Life comes at you fast in college football. Major shout out to Florida State, who will be going to the conference championship. Arizona lost to Utah. So FSU makes the conference title game. They will play against TCU. I think the Seminoles are in the playoff regardless, though. They had to win each of their last 2 games, and they did. Beating Kansas on the road, beating Florida on the road. Very impressive. UNC with a late season win. South Alabama, the second highest ranked Group of 5 team behind Nevada. UAB with another win. All the Group 5 teams who needed to win did, which again would ensure if West Virginia wins the ACC title that nobody out of the ACC is going to make it, with Virginia Tech's loss against Miami. Oregon State is finally ranked. They probably should have been a while ago. And as I mentioned, USC with a late season loss. I don't really think it's going to matter, though. In the Big 12, Kansas State loses. That's good. Missouri loses. That's also good. And then here are some scores across the rest of the nation. One that caught my attention was Texas losing to Texas Tech. The Longhorns were actually ranked number 16 with a win. They really could have put themselves firmly in the bubble. Feels like a very appropriate ending to the Arch Manning career at Texas. 3 seasons with the Longhorns, 0-1 all-time in the playoff. It just never really felt like Texas played to their potential with Arch, especially after Quinn Ewers led them to the Final Four back in Season 1. So Kansas is now ranked number 5. I think we could move even higher than that, though, because Alabama plays against Mississippi State in the SEC title game, and Oregon plays Iowa in the Big 10. So assuming we would jump both of the losers, I don't think we would jump Alabama, but let's say Alabama wins, let's say Oregon wins, we would probably be the number 5 seed, and this would set us up really well, I think, because we would play against the 12 seed, probably a Group of 5 champion, and then we would get to play the 4 seed, who will, if we make it out of the 5-12 game, obviously, but if we do, I think we would probably hit the upper hand over the 4 seed because it would be a weaker conference champion, maybe Virginia Tech, or if they lose to West Virginia, it would be some other Group of 5 team. So there's a chance that if we end up as the 5 seed, we could get a draw of 2 non-Power 5 teams to start the playoff. Now, though, they have us as the 7th seed. We would get USC, and then if we beat them, we would get Iowa. But again, I think we have a good chance to move up from 7. Regardless, though, it looks like we will get a home playoff game, which is very exciting. We've played on the road back in Season 1 against SMU and then last year against Michigan, so it'll be cool to have a game at home. One more regular season game, though. We've got Army and Navy. It's not a college football regular season without these 2 teams facing off against each other. It's It's been a tough season for both of these squads, though. I mean, Navy's better than they were last year. They went 0-12. And sure enough, the Midshipmen would win this game and win it big with 4 passing touchdowns, including this impressive throw. Now, I've got to say, I'm a little bit disappointed that they aired it out the whole game. That's not the spirit of Army-Navy. You're supposed to throw the ball 10 times. It's supposed to be all about the triple option and maybe the ugliest, most disgusting football game you've ever seen. Not some pro-styled offense, 4-touchdown game for the quarterback, Jashawn Dewberry, who, to his credit, did play really well, but still, that's kind of lame. That's the only game we have this week, so there's no movement in terms of the rankings. And here is our conference championship slate. We're going to go over these matchups in the next episode and reveal what the playoff bracket looks like. Unlike seasons 1 and 3, I don't think there's as much suspense in terms of if Kansas is in, but more so what our matchup will be, what our seeding will be. Can we potentially get the 5 seed, or is it going to be a tougher draw as the number 6 or 7? That'll wrap up today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out. Rock Chalk.